Yeah,
It's
it's
terrible.
awful.
So how many times did you actually go see him in prison?
3 times. I've spent a total of 15 hours with him in person. Um, I didn't even know how many phone calls. He was calling me 3 times a week, then it went down to 2 times. And then as the book was done, he would call once a week. I talked to him. Uh, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow was my last conversation with him. Um, and then the mini letters that he sent me. The letters were 10, 12 pages long, where he just kind of poured things out to me, as you see, was reading the book. And he wrote the Ruzeks a letter because he's never apologized to them. And actually, one thing that I did not put in the book, I can tell you that not long before the book was released, I said to him, Christopher, the letters that you sent me that you had wrote to Shanann and the girls, there's nowhere in those letters that you have said you're sorry. And I think that says something and that bothers me. And I think it will bother the public. I think the public will see that and question that. And he's like, I didn't say I was sorry. And I said, no, you haven't. And I think you need to. So
You know,
he said, well, I'll write him in a story and you can insert it into a letter. Um, I thought that was just interesting because does that mean he's not sorry?
that's very interesting. Yeah, it is. That's also curious. I did a video. I have it's kind of a my rules to live by for life, and the first one is there's two types of people in the world. First, those that are humble, and those that are about to be. And
Mm-hmm.
but later on down the list is it's amazing how far the words "I'm sorry" can go.
That's
Um,
for sure.
and people just don't always realize that. And I've never spoken to the Ruzeks. I've had a couple of them. I think the son, when we put some things up on video, and he didn't like them, would make comments or something to that effect. But it's nothing personal. It's the facts. It's public. It's a public story. People want to know about it. We're not out here
Right.
speculating on these outrageous theories that people are, coming up with. It's like these are the facts. I deal in reality,
Right.
and the reality of it is, like you said, the fact that he didn't say I'm sorry. I mean, now I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
that really kind of goes to kind of a very antisocial, type of personality. That it's what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say I'm sorry. I didn't realize I didn't say I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So that's very 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 interesting. So you went, I've been to lots of prisons, and I'm assuming you'd never been to a prison before. Would that be a fair statement?
Never. Never a prison, never a jail. I've been on jury duty, but never in a jail.
Yeah, so you go to the paperwork. You probably had to go through the metal detectors and the doors, and the first thing I always
Mm-hmm.
notice is obviously how clean they are, because they got a lot of staff or they have a lot of people that can clean. So when you get done cleaning that hallway,
Right.
why don't you start cleaning that hallway again? Uh,
Right.
the places are always spotless, and there's usually that certain cold dampness about it. Did you notice that when you went in?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
I just thought it was because the building was so old, but yeah, it was definitely cold and damp.
cold
Hmm.
and damp, and like I said, I've been to lots of prisons, and people are like, well, what's it like going in there? And you probably didn't go back to a pod, but the room's usually a big one. I'm assuming it's probably a big open room, and you got to sit maybe across from him at a table or something to that effect,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and sometimes there's always, if you go depend well, if you go to city jail, not so much the prisons, but city jails always have that fear, the smell of urine and baloney and fear
Yeah.
going around. It's just
Yeah.
they're just it's just a just gross place. But so obviously a lot of people, and you mentioned in here, he was kind of shocked that people didn't want him to have pictures of his children and his wife, ex Shanann, there in jail. I think he said, I can't
Right.
believe people would do that. They'd have to do that for everybody. And I don't think it's that they don't want him to have pictures of his family. It's just the fact that he has pictures of the people that he murdered is what people were somewhat
Yes.
offended by. But he just didn't seem to get that either, did he?
No. And did you notice one of his comments in that letter to me was, I don't know why people would want to hurt me like that. And that stood out to me. I'm thinking why people want to hurt you like that. You kill, 4 people, but you're worried about what people are going to hurt you with taking your pictures away. So I don't know. That just stood out to me when he said that.
Yeah, I noticed that portion in the book, and it kind of goes back to the never saying you're sorry, because he just doesn't get it.